Ladies and gentlemen, sit back, put your feet up. It's time for the Other Three Amigos podcast with Declan McCormack, Wayne Mullins, and Dan.
Three lads, one podcast.
On this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast, Usher is coming to London. We're getting jerseys from China, the Marina Market situation, how much money is Cathal O'Sullivan worth, the UCD review, and we have a very intriguing route into our mailbag. All this and more on this week's episode of the Other Three Amigos podcast. Welcome to Season 4, Episode 7, Episode 183 in total of the Other Three Amigos podcast, your award-winning podcast, just as a reminder for some people. A reminder, of course, we are on Patreon, patreon.com/ToeTap. Join us on Patreon for €5 per month, flat fee starting off. For that, you get all the regular extra pods and a full back catalogue of our episodes. And then you can, there's another €10 tier, just if you want to support the pod a little bit further, but you still get the same content. Be sure to retweet, as it's so important to help us grow. Even the likes help out on all platforms, and our Twitter and Instagram growing week on week. Thank you so much. We are the proud sponsor of Jack Doherty's Boots, still at €60 for Mary Mount. He's scored 3 goals, so for every goal he scores in a real game, €20 will be going to Mary Mount. Las Damas recorded last night, and I suppose this is a nice segue to introduce the first amigo here. Decky, how are you?
Good, Dan. Good. Just glad to be back as a guest again, and not a big fan of the old hosting, to be honest with you. But what can I do?
The telephone voice came out again.
Oh, I'll be honest with people here now, right? The intro on Las Damas, I must have recorded that at least 12 times before, and eventually I just got to the point where I just went, I don't give a what this one sounds like. It's good in. It's not lively enough. It's too low beat. It's not low. Oh my good God, above tonight, like.
But you don't record it all in one go. You do bit by bit. So then, if you mess up a small bit, you can just delete that.
Well, yeah, I do always do it as one whole piece, but yes, obviously I will trip over my tongue and I'll just keep going and redo it, because obviously you can edit it out and pitch it all together. So I do it as one piece, but I don't do no. Okay, so I might maybe try what you're saying now as in little section by section or whatnot. Might be a.
You're getting information from like an international broadcaster, unlike Shreenan for years, who's just a local one. There's the problem, I think.
Well, this is true. This is true, and obviously, as you said, if an international broadcaster is giving me tips, then I'm certainly going to take them on board.
I'm too old for you, Wayne.
Yes.
What tips do you want off of me?
Oh, Dan, I just like looking at you, so I'm quite happy, isn't it?
That's where the pleasure comes from for you, lads. It's time to go into our first segment. It is.
Well, no, like, I actually want to talk about I actually listened to Last Damas today.
Okay.
And I thought it was really, really, really good. Very interesting. Completely different to what this is. This is more carnage, whereas on that one you have kind of people who really know what they're talking about. And I thought it was very interesting. Well, yeah. But the funny thing is, funny thing is, they had information on every single club, except for Cork City. And I think that's just mad. Their own football club, they had the least amount of information. And I just look at that going, like, it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
and this is where our club this is where our club is at the minute.
For a national pod as well now, I mean, not to have accreditation to be able to talk to, management and players after the games. There's not many pods doing it, I'd imagine. I'd only imagine there's 3 or 4. And people are crying out for coverage over the women's games. And then we're there looking to get it, and no.
Look, I don't want to go, like, the accreditation thing is done, dead and buried. But that was a point I made to the FAI, and they basically said it wasn't a factor, which kind of makes, it's funny, but look, the accreditation thing is dead and buried. I've had a lot of thought about it and spoken to a lot of people, and I'm actually quite comfortable that we're better off in this scenario. We're better off away and out of having any media accessibility around the club, because then we can just come on here without fear and say what we want to say. And we can't be,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, but I'm referring to
Customers.
the Las Damas, though. That's the point I'm making, is Las Damas, that your national podcast now, when you got to make up your own stuff, which is probably better because you're going to be different to the other 3 podcasts that are out there. I think, is it 2 or 3 are out there, Declan? 3, is it?
I think there's only 2. I think there's the
2.
women's National League pod, which is quite a good listen, and then
Yeah.
the Off the Ball, Come On You Girls in Green podcast is a certain amount of the National League stuff, but that is more a English, whatever they call the league over there, you know.
WSL.
Yeah, the WSL. So it's more focused on that. But no, obviously they do cover, to a certain extent, the SSE Electricity Women's Premier Division.
And it's mad. I saw last week that the TV rights for the WSL next term will be €18 million, 14.5 million pounds, which is, it's higher than the Allsvenskan in Sweden, and it's higher than a lot of leagues, like the second tier in Portugal, I believe, which is, I was shocked, like, that it's high, which is, it's good for the game, like.
It's good for the game. It's not good for the game here, probably, because obviously any body here, that money will filter down a little bit to the championship in England as well, you'd imagine. Any player here who can perform at any kind of a decent level with any level bit of consistency, the money is going to be in England to bring them over, and they can just, you know, the English clubs will raid here. You've seen, they know there's talent here. Obviously, you know, everybody knows Denise O'Sullivan's, Katie McCabe's, etc., but even the likes of Tara O'Hanlon and those girls who are going now to the likes of Man City, that's going to encourage the English clubs to come in here and you know, just pick up, because it won't cost them a whole lot, and they have this huge television deal now, and it's just going to mean there will be a player drain, I think, from this league on a pretty consistent basis. But it also means if you can prove yourself in this league, there will be rewards in England for you. So there's pros and cons, as always, to both sides of that.
Yeah, so be sure to check out Las Damas with Amiga Eileen Ring. We're going to go into our first segment now. It is Usher versus Usher.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
A 4th email has been sent.
Yes, 4th email has been
to
sent.
Usher's people.
Usher's people. I nearly said the name there. I nearly said it. No reply yet. Today's email was hello from a wet and windy Ireland. Last week's was hello to a nice and sunny Friday, Ireland. And the week before that was another wet and windy email from Ireland. So next week, hopefully, it's a sunny email from Ireland. Even a cloudy, dry one will do. Do you know?
Maybe if it's Usher, you need to make it hip and, you know, yo, man, I'm in the club right now. Hit me up.
Maybe I need to throw in a few lines in there. All right, yeah, we'll do that.
I think Usher is actually coming to London in April, so I think we actually might we should look at booking flights over to try and meet him in person.
Not a bad idea. We get big banners.
Usher out. Like we're out over here. I'd get on to Colin Sheehan. I'd say he still has a few t-shirts knocking around as well from relegation.
That should be our next outing, so.
I think so.
Go free.
Our under-17s defeated Cove Ramblers yesterday. 4-1. There was 2 goals from Charlie Hanover, Evan Pilo and Denzel Ogbenj. They secured the victory. Under-20s, they drew 2-2 with Wexford. Uma and Skeeters there with the goals. Under-15s versus Cove, no result. I think I did hear the result, but it was kept hidden. Did you hear that one?
No. It was obviously high scoring, was it?
Maybe it was just rumour then. Under-14s as well, Cork City played Wexford. No result on Twitter.
To be fair to the club, when they announced the lineups, but then they say, for updates, go to the FA Connect app. So it's done on purpose. I'd love to know why, but it is. So they announce the lineup, and then they go for further updates, go to FA Connect.
Well, do you think it's fair enough if the young lads are 14, 15 that they do keep the scores off if it is an absolute pummeling?
Absolutely.
Wayne, disagree?
I kind of disagree. I don't see the issue. Like, I really don't. Like, if you're going to play a 15-year-old if you're going to play a 15-year-old in the League of Ireland, SSE, Electricity League of Ireland First Division, I don't see why you can't use the under 15 scores. All right, simple as. Any issue you can write to me. pod@totap.ie.
Okay, let's move on.
It's time for a bit of Commie Watch.
Commie Watch with Ivan
Drago.
Drago on the other Three Amigos podcast.
Well, they didn't get the real Usher, but he got another Usher. And that Usher went on another podcast before our one, and he also went on it before the Rebel Army podcast. Did you give this a listen? Was it the Mental Brew podcast, I believe, during the week? Decky, did you hear this?
I did. I listened. I have to say, I liked that Mental Brew podcast. I listened to a few of them. Danny Murphy was on one, and that's where I first heard about it. And I have gone back and listened to a few since. It's a different kind of, it's subject matter that doesn't get dealt with on a lot of podcasts. Like, so I do like it, and I know that Danny, who hosts it, a lot of people at the club think very highly of him and the work he has done with the women's pod. So I think, yeah, it's always interesting. So I did give it a listen, yeah.
Did he say anything of interest to you in that conversation?
No, he didn't say anything of interest to me anyway. No, that's a bad joke. That one works.
No, it's a good joke. It's a good joke.
Keep it.
That has to stay.
But in general, yeah, I thought, look, Dermot said lots of interesting things. I thought, to be honest, 85 to 90% of it was really, really good, really encouraging from a fan's perspective. And there was 10% of it that maybe just go, no, But like, as a fan, that's the way you're probably going to react to any owner's interview anywhere, really,
When?
In
classic Cork City style, can we focus on the negatives, please?
Football is about
I'm just doing what they do to us. Let's listen to the negatives. Come on, Decky.
Well, like, the negatives were like, Dermot is clearly involved in the recruitment side of the club. I think after listening to it, I don't think anybody can listen to it and think he's not involved directly in recruitment. I'm not sure that's a good idea, to be honest, for very obvious reasons. He specifically mentioned that there was 2 players this year who would have been very good, but he wouldn't sign them because of their reputations off the field, etc. That obviously followed on from some kind of a discussion in relation to what went on last year, where Dermot said, yes, it's clear there were negative influences in the dressing room. There were people in the dressing room who should never have been there, but he wasn't made aware of it until after the event. So
that is shocking.
I don't know.
Did we raise this? Did we?
I don't know. I don't know whether he found out on our podcast or when he says he was made aware of after the event, that he was made aware before we made people aware. But his basic point was that he stands back and he allows people to do their jobs, and whatever way the situation worked out, he wasn't aware of what was going on. So he's taken a little bit of a more hands-on approach. I think that's fair to say. Look, that's just the structures at the club. It kind of ties in with what we were hearing in the off-season anyway, that he was involved in recruitment and things like that. So look, as I said, it's his club. He can run it whatever he wants. Obviously, I just don't like when I hear owners being involved in any aspect of recruitment, really, bar signing.
To play devil's advocate here, and I'm actually going to defend it, I think, because he does have a close relationship with Tim Clancy. That's been mentioned a few times, especially by Tim Clancy himself. So maybe working together, maybe he's acting as an owner / CEO / director of football. And I did say to you last year, I thought this was happening, And he all kind of said, oh, no chance. It's the old school type of ownership, like Doug Ellis used to do at Villa. A load of clubs in the UK used to do it. And it was a chairman who got the players. The manager said, I want him. And it was the chairman or the owner, who used to beat the player, the agent, and sort out the wages. I don't see an issue with that. When it comes to the stage of the owner telling a manager he can't have someone, then I have a bit of an issue, I think. But if he's getting involved and he's taking over the contract negotiations, etc., I really don't see an issue with that.
I tend to, I kind of maybe going to disagree with myself a little bit, no, but I tend to agree with fundamentally what you're saying. There has to be somebody, there's no longer a director in football in place. Obviously, somebody has to look after the contract negotiations and all that kind of stuff. We know, Tim Crowley, why do I keep calling a man Tim Crowley?
It's funnier.
Tim Clancy.
Our tournament manager.
Tim Crowley, our tournament manager, obviously probably doesn't want anything to do with any of that side of things. So, look, yeah, it's fine that he's stepping in. It's when he says things like, "I wasn't willing to sign them because I don't think." I think that's a manager's call to make. And I don't know, I don't know who the manager was at the time, whether it was Tim, whether it was somebody else. But look, I don't want to get too bogged down in it either. It was just something that was said. He's very hands-on. He's obviously working on the merchandise side of things.
He said that's been his main focus over the last 3 months. Coming into the season, is that what you want?
Look, somebody has to be focused on it. I mean, he made very good points about we need to build other income sources. Merchandise is a big one of that. They're launching their own clothing line, Rebel Army Clothing, which is an interesting idea. It has massive potential if done well. Whether they're going to have their own website for it or just run it through the city website or what way they're going to do things would be interesting to see. But,
is that saying screw Adidas, screw Nike, screw O'Neill's, I'm going solo here, we're making our own gear?
No, I don't think that's where he was going. I think this was more a range of casual gear. So I don't think that's where they were going. Maybe they do go that way long term, but I couldn't see it, but no, this was more a range of casual wear, and it would be branded. I presume it's branded Rebel Army Clothing as opposed to Cork City FC. There'll probably be a reference to Cork City somewhere on it, a crest or something, but it becomes a brand, it becomes its own thing, and it could go anywhere if it takes off, So look, they're good things, as he said, and he's right. We need more than just the football income, than just the gate income and the sponsorship income. So these are areas you can build in, He referenced, events. He wants to do more events. He's been talking to. I didn't really understand where he said I think what he said was that he was talking to a company, an events company, about running more events under a Rebel Army brand. I thought for a second, and I've listened twice, that maybe he was talking about setting up a company, an events company. But no, I don't think that's the way it was going. I think it was engaging an events company to run Rebel Army events. Again, could be very successful, could be a thing, but it shows
there's a fun golf day coming, so we might get an invite in the post. Better get practicing.
We won't get an invite. There's four golf events next year. The fourth one will be.
That's more than the PGA Tour. That's more than the Live Golf.
Would you stop?
Are you serious?
Would you relax a sec? Will you leave me finish? Relax a second. Relax. The fourth one is a family-orientated foot golf. You know that foot golf thing? That's
what are the other three for?
That's.
Is this a sidekick to the Saudi league or something, or the Saudi? What's this called? The
Live Golf.
LV, is it?
No, they had 3 corporate golf days last year, and he said, "Look, he
said they made 20 grand.
Will you?
Ridiculous.
Will you stop?" He said they were he was derided for it. Derided. And look, let's be fair. that was definitely us because we did deride it and the whole thing. No, his line was the club made €20,000 from those golf events. So, and he said, I'm clearly not the fool here, but like, that's fine. Absolutely fantastic. The club made 20 grand. The playing budget last year was somewhere in the region of €750,000. So when that's your playing budget, €20,000 it's not going to do anything. It's not doing anything for anybody really, and it's a matter of what's the return on investment. All the hours, the organization, the staff, everything that went into it. Like, to me, to only get 20 grand out of it, I think is actually not that good. But that's just me personally on how I see these things. I thought we would have been, or should have been, somewhere up around 100 grand to justify all the time, effort, and organization, everything else
50,
that went
60
in.
anyway.
But they're happy that they made 20, so they're going back again. And obviously, if they made 20 last year, then obviously they'll be home to make 50 this year and build on it and make it an annual thing. So look, more power to them.
So, am I right in thinking our wage budget was €17,000 a week last season?
750,000. I'm telling you now.
So that's 17.
And that was
40. Is it 42 weeks? 42 weeks. That's €17,800 a week. That's mad.
There you go.
For 4 golf events a week.
Whatever it is.
Sorted.
That's a worry, though, isn't it? That much money was spent in that squad last year.
No, he didn't give that figure. I'm giving that figure. I'm putting that figure out there. He said that Tim Clancy confirmed that our budget last year wasn't very far off St. Pat's budget, and that it's really not about how much money you spend, but it's how you spend it. Which is all very true. So look, there was lots said. I think people should go listen to it. I'm going to say this. Obviously, I'm surprised it was. I thought that's something that should have been done in the Rebel Army podcast, to be honest with you. I mean, it would have got big numbers, big listening numbers. City fans want to hear this stuff. I hope it has worked out well for Dennis and that it has gotten him the numbers. The Mental Brew podcast has got the numbers that it deserves to do, because it's something that should be listened to. And then obviously the big one is the Marina Market and how that all plays out, But look,
can you give a bit of backstory on the Marina Market? People who might be new to the club, people who might be new to the pod. What's the significance?
I'll just finish this very quickly. So it looks like we had the 4th biggest budget in the Premier Division last year. 4th biggest budget, and we were fucking relegated, lads. So, like, I mean, I'll say it again, like, and Dermot said it himself. There was players in the dressing room who shouldn't have been there, but he wasn't aware of it at the time, etc., etc. But Liam Buckley was still going to be our director of football. He still started off this season as our director of football. And that's the biggest thing that worries me. Because Dermot said, like, his strengths, in his opinion, are that he's a very good strategist and he surrounds himself with the right people. That didn't happen last year. It looks like it's happening this year, which is a good thing. But I just can't get away from it. We spent all that money last year. How much did we spend in the summer window? I have no idea. We were relegated, and Liam Buckley was still our director of football heading into this season, and he's only not because Tim Clancy's our manager, and that's what worries me. That's the one I can't get away from. In all this, a strategist and surrounds himself with the right people. He left Liam Buckley in place. Left him in place after last year. No, I understand he didn't start the season, and I understand that. If Ger from Aston Villa was manager of this football club, Liam Buckley would still be our director of football. And that's the one that I can't get away from. But anyway, setting all that aside, as I said, the other point of contention is the Marina Market. Take the Scotty. We're half an hour in already. We haven't heard from
him. Where do you start? Like, again, if I say what I feel, it's going to be negative again. You know what I mean? And there's always excuses. There'll be excuses like, oh, sure, we're in Douglas Village. It's the same thing, isn't it? It's not really. Um, it's not actually doesn't really bother me that much. I was always pro new ownership against FORAS. I always was like, there's a lot of people out there who's put their blood, heart, and soul into FORAS. There's not. I wonder is there as many people around now as there was in 2010. Like, there's a lot of people kind of walked away from the club, I think. But that man, like, the club went into liquidation because of it, of the whole situation. And I just think it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. This is my opinion. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it's my opinion. Yeah, we're out in Douglas, and it's also similar ownership, but that was free rental while we were there, and it looks like we're moving out anyway. Marina Market has a huge footfall. There's a certain type of people who go there. Not sure the Cork City fans. Savage food out there. You know, you can bring your dog down there and they get dog training. You know, there's people selling stuff from stalls, and it's only going to get bigger.
They might be tourists, though. I suppose is the one thing, you know. People
no, a lot of a lot of them would be kind of more of a Munster crowd, I would say, without kind of, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Blackrock Road type.
Golf, rugby, that kind of crowd. No, look, it's a great idea. I personally think that Mahon Point is the best place to go to. Second best place, Marina Market. But I feel like we're selling our soul to the devil a bit. Again, my opinion on it. I know certain people listening won't agree with that. But you got to read the room. You got to understand, like, you can't kick the fans down with everything. You can't. You got to just kind of go, certain things are off the table. Again, doesn't bother me. I'm all for this. I've been crying out for this kind of plan for years, being more of a business, less fan-owned. And the majority of what I think Dermot Rush is doing is quite good, actually. Might be done the wrong way, but I think the ideas are quite good. I think this China thing is a good idea, but I also fear it's a bad idea because I've had experience with dealing with Chinese manufacturers, and we'll talk about it later anyway. But back to Marina Market. I just think certain things are off the table. That's one of them. I don't know, does Decky agree? A lot of people will go, oh, get over it, doesn't matter. Were those people around in 2009, 2010? I don't think they were. A lot of people sold all their memorabilia, their jerseys, their prized possessions. Christ, like, so many people sold stuff. And the amount of money that was raised through the CCFC forum, do you remember? And Trevor and all them? The amount of fundraising was done to save the club. And the club went shit again. And it was bought up. We got money. We got an owner who's driven for business. And just things like this just kind of... I didn't go to the game Friday. All right? I sat at home with my son and watched a bit of it. We played Jenga and drew in a picture of Erling Haaland on Shoot magazine. Because I was just... All that news last week, I was like, do you know what? I was going to stay home with my son and watch TV, watch the match.
And were you happier?
I was at home 6:30, torn, right? Not due to weather, not due to that. And I said to myself, if I go, I'll be pissed off. If I stay, I'll be pissed off. It was one of those situations. And I didn't go, and I was delighted. I spent time with the little fella and watched a bit of the game. He got bored. We started drawing pictures. Because it's just, I'm so detached from this club now. Like, it's just, and this Marina Market thing, as much as it doesn't really affect me too much, it's still like, it's the whole, it's not right. It's not morally, I think it's a bit wrong. I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting to it. Maybe I'm not.
I'm looking at a story here. Was it 2010? They were heading up to St. Pat's, and the bus company wouldn't take the team to the match because they hadn't been paid by Tom to do so. The players had to ring 96 FM for urgent donations to get the public to get them to the game.
And this is the stuff that was happening. And all the time in the background, FORAS were working there. Like, I wish John was on this tonight because he would tell you the stuff they did to get through this. Like, and yeah, it's 15 years ago. I get it's in the past, but there's certain things you just don't do. Do you know what I mean? You don't do it. Like, it's like you don't go off with your best friend's wife. You don't go off. Certain things in life you don't do. And I think this is one of them.
On the merchandise thing, you seem to have a lot of experience in the whole area of it. Do you think that Dermot should be... he said he was focusing his last 3 months on the merchandise thing. Do you think that's a wise decision coming into the new season?
Fantastic idea, so long as he's getting the right input and... getting people who are experiencing it. Because like, there was a certain item I was getting from China for a few years, and it was bucket hats. It was football ones, Italian 90, got them made, right? And I tried so many different companies, and the main one I got the right one done. It was brilliant. It was perfect. Got the right price, the right quantity, the right size, and I ordered them again a month later. Same company, and it was a completely different item. And that's the worry. You find your company, you stick with them, and the second batch, the quality control isn't good enough. And the worst part is, they now have your design, they copy it, and they sell it on things like Alibaba, AliExpress, DHgate, soccerjersey.ru, UUsoccer.ru. All these websites will have your template, and they're selling it. It's the same in Turkey. You can go to Turkey, they do it for suits, for clothing. It's just the worry is that you need to be on the ball. John O'Flynn, I hope he's involved in it because he knows this stuff. I just worry that you find your market, you find the perfect supplier. They make great gear. Your second order, it's a piece of shit. You've paid all the customs, you've paid all the price. They go missing, and that's it. Your money's gone, and you got to start from scratch again. And that's my worry. Great idea, but I hope to God it's being researched correctly.
You in favour of the Rebel Army clothing aspect, making our own products ourselves?
I think I am, as long as it's done right. Again, I don't think going to the Middle East or Asia is the right way to do it. But again, there's people with experience who know this stuff, so hopefully they're being engaged.
Decky, that Marina Market thing for you, does that sit well with you?
It doesn't, no. But like Wayne has said, I don't expect it to not sit well with the whole of the fan base. Like 2010 is 14 years ago. You know, as Scotty has said already, somebody who's 24 now, sitting in Turner's Cross, maybe with a kid of their own, 2 or 3 year old of their own, they were 14, you know? Or sorry, they were 10, in 2010 when all this Tom Collin related stuff was going on, may not even know about it, you know? I think everybody knows there's a bit of a history there with Tom Collin, but people don't understand this. I think maybe our era, you know, myself and Wayne are both in our 40s, you know, we lived through it. You were part of something. You were part of a drive to save the club and everything else. It definitely hits us in our generation far harder than it would hit say, people of your generation, Dan, you know, who are probably a generation behind us. I think it definitely hits us harder. And there's just as Scotty said, there's just kind of some moral rules that you just don't break. And one of them, to me, the top of that list would be Cork City Football Club in any way, shape or form, owned in any way, shape or form by any individual, any group, any entity, no matter what it's done, should never put money in the pocket of Tom Collin. Ever. You know, in any way, shape or form. And, you know, I understand the the Douglas situation. I didn't really know that he was part of the ownership group in Douglas now, in the shopping centre in Douglas and the rest of it. My understanding was that we were still there rent-free at the moment. If we're not still there rent-free and Tom Collin is earning money from us paying rent on that shop in Douglas, then my attitude would be you shut the doors and you lock the doors and you walk away. But there's probably a contract and you probably get caught. So it's a slightly different situation. But look, I'm sure when Dermot decided to go into the Marina Market that he was aware of all this, because there's people working at the club who lived and breathed every second of that court case, of that liquidation, of the setting up of FORAS and what came after it, you know. And FORAS is born from the ashes of the club that Tom Collin left behind. So there's no way Dermot doesn't understand or doesn't know. I'm sure he doesn't understand. I'm sure he knows. But the thing is, he probably doesn't understand. But at the same time, we sold the club. Scotty and myself for years have sought to, you know, push it as a business. And as Scotty has said, and I agree with him, a lot of what Dermot Usher spoke about on that podcast is fantastic stuff. It's actually brilliant. It's the correct way forward. It's just this one Marina Market thing that would stick in your throat. That's the one for me that would stick in my throat. But absolutely nothing I can do about it. So all I can do is, and I will never set foot in the Marina Market. I have never been in there. I could never see the day when I would set foot in there. You know, that's not going to bother Tom Collin. It's not going to bother Dermot Usher. It's not going to bother anybody. But, that's my thing. And all I can do is live my life by my morals and do what I think is best. And after that, I can't really influence what anybody else does. I would hope that FORAS have reached out to Dermot and have, made the position clear. And maybe if he didn't fully understand the depth of feeling in one section of the fan base, that he might understand now. If he pushes ahead, he pushes ahead. There's absolutely nothing anybody can do. And here's the thing, it will be a success. I've no doubt about that. The footfall reportedly in the Marina Market will ensure that people are walking past, see these beautiful jerseys, they will buy them. They will buy scarves. They will buy, so it's going to work. Like, there's no doubt about that. It's just, you're just like lining Tom Collin's pockets.
They do a savage smash burger down there, Techie, if you ever change your mind.
No, I'm not one. I'm not.
It's frothy. It's like bacon, garlic, cheese fries. Oh, they're savage, but they're like 13 quid or something now, though. When I just wanted to come back to something there, people selling their memorabilia. Was that they've just become so disassociated with the football club, or were they actually doing it to fund the rise of FORAS, basically?
They were doing it to raise money for FORAS. Like, I think Patty Frayne raffled his Ireland City Chinese jersey. Like, everyone was selling their match-worn jerseys. I used to do with Cork City over the years, like prized possessions. They were auctioning off through the forum, and people were bidding, and all the money that went into it went to FORAS. So say I had a jersey and I raffled it, I wasn't getting the money, it was going to FORAS to try and get a team up in Derry. Like, as I said, this Marina Market, it doesn't bother me too much. You know what I mean? It doesn't really, because I think it's a great idea. I just think it's an area that the club should never go, because people did sell everything they had. They raffled everything, like not even Cork City stuff, other things. Bought season tickets, bought as much as they could, who couldn't afford it, and just to get that team up to Derry for that game. And then FORAS was born a few years earlier, but it was properly born as a football club, as an entity to run the football club. So yeah, they were basically fundraising, is what they were doing, to answer your question.
Did you ever see that Coppa 90 documentary, The Rise of the Rebel Army, on YouTube?
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? It's very good.
Yeah, that's probably a bit happy clappy and doesn't focus on the negative
it crashed again,
we would hear about.
You know what I mean? It didn't really last too long.
We'll talk about some football now, lads. Time is our enemy on this occasion, as we have a special surprise coming. Cork City 1, UCD 0 in Turner's Cross. I suppose the big talking point of this game, well, besides, of course, that flick from Cathal O'Sullivan, was the sending off. Do you think he should have been sending off? I'm going in the no camp here. I don't think.
I'm saying yes.
It was a sending off. And I'm sticking by it.
I'm saying I wouldn't have VAR changed it, is what I'm trying to say to you. I'm on board. I'm not saying, oh my God, that's a red, but I'm saying I can see why it's a red.
Decky?
I agree with Scotty. I think being there live in the night, I thought it was a tangle of legs, and I was like, what in God's name is the referee doing? But the second I saw it and saw it on video, it was like, yeah, it's one of those that if the referee gives a yellow card, you say, okay, that's a yellow card. If he gives a red card, it's very hard to argue against a red card, simply because you have the whole thing these days about, your responsibility for other players' welfare, etc., etc. And the Achilles is such a tender area as well, and you hear so many stories year in, year out of fellas snapping Achilles tendons and all that kind of stuff, And Barry's made a deliberate act. He's going to take a yellow card, It's injury time. We're a goal up. They're looking to break. He's looking to clip his ankles, take the yellow card, and allow us to get set up defensively. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, he doesn't clip him. He misses the clip, and then the legs come tangled, and he ends up. To be fair to him, he doesn't. Yeah, go on. Sorry, I was going to say he doesn't stamp on his Achilles tendon, but he catches him on the Achilles, and I think it's just Scotty's right. VAR would never overturn it, and I think it's one of those that you just kind of have to say, look, there's nothing malicious there. There's no intent really to hurt the lad, but you're not probably playing with due care and attention for your opponent's, well-being or whatever the wording of the rule is. So I don't think you can argue with the ref giving a red card either,
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say there. Probably a bit of tactical nous that we were missing last season. Like, obviously not getting a red card and hurting somebody, but to take the yellow card and then being able to set up, I don't think we would have done that.
No, but we need to do it better. The next time we need to make sure you chop your man's ankles and don't end up getting sent up. Look, I think it's just one of those situations, and it didn't really hurt us because it's the 91st minute. If it's the 70th minute, then you're probably in a spot of bother, all right. But look, yeah, I don't think I'm not going to sit here and argue that it wasn't a red card anyway because I can't.
Okay. The second major talking point of this game, well, probably the main talking point really, was Cathal O'Sullivan, his general performance, and Wayne. Jesus, that flick, man.
Oh, it was sensational, wasn't it? I've said this so many times. He needs to be the first €1 million transfer in Ireland, League of Ireland. He has to be. He's that good. Whatever about the UK, in Europe, he'd tear it up. No, I'll tell you now, he has to be the first €1 million transfer out of the League of Ireland. I'm standing
I love
by
how
it.
Jaden Numa's going to Benfica and we're like, all right, Jaden, stay back a minute. All right,
Cathal O'Sullivan, remember the name.
Remember what you said to me last week about, when myself and John were talking about a 1-1 draw or 2-2 draw away in Finn Harps or whatever it was we were predicting. And you said, You can think it, but you can't say it. I think this is the best example of you can think it, but you can't say it. You can think he's £1 million worth, but he's 16. You can't say it. You can't put that kind of pressure on.
It's potential. You're paying for potential. You're not paying for ability. You're paying for potential. And that flick, it wasn't even the flick.
But I'd say the video we put up is going to increase his value by 200 grand there anyway. Of that
there was a fella who retweeted it, right? And he was right. He said, slow the speed down to half the speed, and you see him looking before he flicks it. And Coffey wasn't even past him. He looked back, flicked it, and then Coffey was gone. The awareness of the fella, he's 16 years old.
I was out of his peripheral just in it,
I
still don't even know how he managed to do it with his legs. My brain can't actually compute how he managed to do it.
I'm going to make two predictions.
Did he do something with his right leg, or was it just with the left?
It was weird. I don't know. It was kind of. Did he not make himself or something? I don't know what it was. But he's going to be the first €1 million transfer, and he's going to play for Ireland before he's 21.
We should clip that. There's two major predictions from Wayne there now on the pod.
He's had 3 games in the League of Ireland, League of Ireland First Division. 3 games. He's going for £1 million and he's going to play for Ireland before he's 21.
He's the best player on the pitch.
This is Scotty. This is Scotty at his absolute best. This is why we love Scotty. It's just boom, let's just go as high and as bad as we possibly can. He's a sensational player. He is frighteningly good and frightening, but you got to remember, lads, he's 16. At some stage this season, he's going to have a massive dip. He's not going to play well for a few games. He's not going to, and Tim Clancy will recognise it and take him out of the side and everything else. And the one thing we can't do when that time comes is start talking about, maybe he's not as good as we thought he was. He hasn't played well now in a month. He was just a flash in the pan. And we all know that's what's going to happen. We all know those conversations, and that's what we can't do. The kid is a very, very, very good player. Just let's take a step back and allow him to find his way in the game before we start declaring him.
I just want to get
transfers and everything else. Be fair to
him. Jack Doherty playing his back to goal number 9. Well, he is your man, Decky, so I'll go to you here. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know, was it the first podcast, the second, whatever? I do clearly remember saying at some stage, I don't ever want to see Jack Doherty play for us as a back to goal number 9.
Mm-hmm.
You did, yeah.
3 games, and there he was. And I think we saw why I didn't want it to happen. It's a completely different game. You know, it's a completely different way of playing. And Jack is at his best when he's moving forward with the ball at his feet, or he's looking to get onto something, or, you know, when the game's been played in front of him. When you ask a guy to play with his back to goal, it's completely different. And then when we're putting in the kind of balls that we were putting into him, you're taking away, I just feel like you're taking away so much from other areas of the pitch where Jack can excel, that when you ask him to do, no, look, he's able to do it to a certain degree, and I don't think he played badly or anything else, but you get so much more out of him when he's playing elsewhere on the pitch in a different way, you know. And I just hope we don't see it again, but I have a feeling we probably will at times.
I suppose after the unfortunate goal up in Finn Harps, some called it unlucky. It was good for Wade to have a good game in Cork City, Dickie, wasn't it?
It was fantastic. And look, here's the thing. I said that moment, shall we call it, in Ballybuffet was inexperience. He was very good there, and I think he made 3 very good saves. I know he made 5 in total. There was one late on where he's quick off his line, smothered thing, got there before your man could really get his shot away properly. He made a very good save in the first half as well. So look, that's what we want, and I'm delighted that he had a good game. I mean, don't take any pleasure out of criticising players, and I wasn't really criticising Wade. I just said it was inexperience, and we hoped the next time. And then he had a very good game the other night, so it's what we want to see. And yeah, fair play to him, and I hope he has many more.
Wayne, did you get to see Wade's performance, or were you colouring in Hallin's head at this point?
Oh, I was colouring in Hallen too. I thought he played very well. He made some great saves, and Jesus, it was nice to see a keeper who, I wouldn't say sturdy, but he knew what he was doing. That's always a bonus for a goalkeeper, who maybe dives with his hands and doesn't dive out of the way. So it's good. Mm-hmm. And we found a keeper who can do that. So onwards and upwards, as they say.
Do you reckon he's more of a high B man or a secret garden man?
Oh, I'd say there's a secret garden, am I right, somewhere, but I don't think it would be. Maybe more of a, hopefully not secret garden, more kind of downstairs in Reardon's.
Yeah, keep casual, you know. Dickie, I presume this is you with all your stats. Do you want to go through some of them if any of them stood out to you? No. Well, possession. Wayne did the stats. Wayne, the one I suppose that sticks out here. Wayne, the possession.
Yeah, 42% Cork City and 58 UCD, which, you know, they were all over us to a point. The big worry I have, and it's a massive worry, is our passing accuracy was 67%, which is atrocious. That should be up to high 70s, early 80s. If it's the kind of play, if it's the kind of football I want to play. And I know the pitch was in shit, I get that. But Tim Clancy is more of a passing coach, manager, head coach. And 67% is not great. We had 10 shots, they 20. Again, Jesus. Look, we got the win. 3 points in the bag. So,
Wayne, I'm going to say something to you here now that you're going to hear all year, and I did say it, and you gave out to me after. We would have drawn or lost that game last season.
Oh, I've heard this too many times already. I'm not like. I think
3 people have said it to me.
It's a stupid thing to say, like. Do you know what I mean? Oh, we win 5-0. Oh, we would have lost 5-0 last year, lads. Oh, it's bullshit. I'm happy we won the game, playing shit. It doesn't matter. That's what champions are made of. Teams that go and win the game. It's not pretty. Get the job done. But everyone say, oh, we'd have drawn that last year. We'd have lost that last year. Stop it. Come on. You lost a lot of things. We lost a lot of things last year. Though.
But it's kind of an irrelevance because it's a completely different set of players. It's playing a different set of UCD players, and you're going to get away with so much in this division, Dan, and this is what I've been saying. Like, we got away with murder Friday night. UCD, especially second half, completely outplayed us. Dominated the ball. We didn't know what we were at in midfield. There was no balance in midfield all night, which was shown by the fact that we started with, we went back to the 4-3-2-1. or we didn't actually. Sorry, it was more of a kind of a 4. It was 4-3-2, 1-4-3-3, whatever you want to call it, But that central three started with Sean Murray as the 10, Evan McLaughlin and Barry Coffey deeper than that. Then after we came out after half time and Barry Coffey went into the 10 with Sean Murray going back deeper and Evan McLaughlin ended up in the 10. So you can see that Tim Clancy wasn't happy with what he was seeing out there, and he was trying different players and different things and different positions and whatnot, but there was just no balance in there. And I spoke pre-season about not having a genuine out-and-out 6. And that game Friday night, I was looking at it going, what I'd give for a genuine 6. And then Aaron Healy came on at 18 and settled the whole thing down. And like we talk a lot about Carl O'Sullivan, and at times this year we'll talk about Matt Murray and Josh Fitzpatrick and everything else.
Yeah.
And we talk about academies and how academies benefit players. Young Aaron Healy came off the bench at 18 and he was the one in there organising, pulling and dragging, talking to fellas like he was 38, not 18, And you talk about academies, and this is what academy football does for players. It gives them the confidence, and Aaron Healy's doing that since he went into the academy. It's just something that he's been taught. They come on, they look for the ball, they want possession, they want to keep playing, they want to break the lines, they want to do all these things, and they do it in a carefree way where they're just coming on with all this confidence. And Aaron Healy just comes on and he just tells Greg Balger, you should be there, not there. He tells, he's organising those around him, and it's fantastic to see. But like, we talk about building a football industry in this country, and we talk about doing all those things. It's a very small example of how academies help players and how it makes players better, and how coaching makes players better, and how when you're coached from 13 to do these things, you can come on in a National League game at 18 and do them without thinking twice. It's just
especially when it's your town, your city, your club.
Yeah, exactly. And like, this is why the academies need investment. It's so different to a fella coming into a club at 17 and he's a good player, but he hasn't been coached. He hasn't been through the academy system. They're very different types of players. So look, I think there's a lack of balance in midfield at the moment. I think we're missing a genuine 6. Whether Greg can be that genuine 6 or not, I don't know. Can Aaron Healy be it long term? I don't know. I think maybe he's more of an 8 than a 6. But look, we'll have to see. But I think like we have issues, and there's clear issues there over 3 games. We have played Kerry at home, Finn Harps away, and UCD at home. How many shots on target have we had in total across those 3 games?
Do you know, or
6?
I do know. I do. No. 8 shots on target in those 3 games. To me, that's a poor return. We should nearly have 8 against Kerry alone, like, to be fair,
Yeah.
So,
but we don't have
but we have.
Do we have the out and up 9?
That's the thing. We spoke about that all pre-season, and Nathan Wood did well against Kerry. Then he started from the left because, in fairness to Tim Clancy, he pointed out Evan McLaughlin. He's not somebody who plays from the left. It's probably not fair to ask him to play from the left. So Tim didn't ask him, and I thought Evan McLaughlin was much better the other night in the centre. I saw some people online disagreeing with that thought process, but I thought he played quite well, and we're just lacking balance. To me, that's what it is. We don't have an out-and-out 9. We don't have an out-and-out right back. We don't have an out-and-out 6. And I think it should hurt you, but we're in the one division where we probably get away with it, which is awesome, which is massively to our benefit as well, But there will come a night, and there will be 2 or 3 nights during the season where we won't get away with it, and the house will come crumbling down, and we'll all be going, God, that was terrible, and X, Y, and Z. But look, I'd be very confident that we're going to get out of this division. But there are things that we need to try and sort out, and especially offensively.
Do City go invincible this year? When?
We have to. There's no choice, is there?
Well, I'm sure they'll want to.
If we're spending that much money last year, you bet your life we're spending a lot of money this year. Invincibility, all the way, please.
Jackie.
Like, no. I mean, Galway last year were probably the best first division side in history, maybe. And they lost 2 games, both in Longford. They lost both their away games in Longford 1-0. No, Longford were the only team to beat them. Look, I don't give a shit about invincibility. I don't give a shit about records.
I do, Declan. I do.
I don't. Just win win division and get out of here, because, lads, we call it a graveyard. Look at it. Look at the state of it. You know,
It's
just
terrible.
like it's so depressing being in here. Like, we just get ourselves. However we do it, I don't care. Just get ourselves out of there. First chance. We have to.
All right, we're going to go to the most prestigious award in world football now. It is your toe tap MVP. In first place, no surprises here, it was O'Sullivan with nearly 50% of the vote, 48.4% of the vote. It was Coleman in second, 29.5%. McLaughlin in third with 12.5%, and then Wade I was going to say last, but again, fourth in 9.6%. We're heading out to your 2-word answer. I'll try slow down a small bit. Irish Football Blog says still unbeaten. Dunnocks, 3 points. Sean Healy, reasonably happy. Duncan Noonan, grinded out. Trina Golden, that'll do. Billy Dorney, he's not participating in the 2-word thing, but I think Billy gets a pass, to be honest. Bloody worried throughout most of the game, to be honest. We need to fucking busk up quick time. Some of tonight was drivel.
2 words, Billy.
Fioros E says not warm. Wayne says King Coleman. Billy Doherty also comes in and does do a 2 words. It says needs improvement. Anthony O'Sullivan says very cold. Eileen says Pink Panther. Boring Keane Coleman says Keane Goldman. Tony Tobin, Keane Gazelle, Anthony Falvey. Tinkerman Clancy, Henry Brophy. Important result. RB Human, terrible refereeing. LOI Observer, pure decent. David Crowley says no jacking. The Donny Ford Ultra Mega Sergeant Platoon says not bad, 3 points, still unbeaten, clean sheet, obviously like frozen worders. That surely must be Boring Keane Coleman as well. Garrett the Jiff Sniffer Barry, retractable testicles. Aaron Hills, creativity needed. Linux Pizza, bad pitch. Liam Foley, pretty poor. Babs, we won. Joe Langford, no spark. Jim Bob, brutal. Roy O'Sullivan, absolutely Baltic. Jack, Wade's tackle. Michael Walsh, 3 points. Liam Roach, UCC supremacy. Sean, going up. Kean, effing freezing. Revan, nonsense. Red. Verdus Joe, Starboy Cahill, Magpie, long 95. Aidan Hurley, horrendous pitch. Betting Bros NC, called it. The Rebel Hibby, fewer shots. Glenn, 1/2. Topper, Brass Monkeys. Eagle Up Eagle, invincible season. Davy D, not good. Colin O'Sullivan, bad referee. Block Ace, CRS, Brass Monkey. Clim Tansy, Marina Market, Tony, Feckin' Haunted, and DB, effing freezing. That was your 2-word answer, lads. Anything you want to come in on there, Jackie?
Marina Market, because I've just got an email here. I'm sorry, no, I'm going backwards, but we didn't mention it because they hadn't come back to us, but we had asked FORAS, FORAS Board of Management, if they had a response or had any statement in regards to Dermot Usher's plans to take Cork City into Marina Market. And they have just sent us back an email here now. So our formal response is, FORAS has had no role in commercial decisions made by Cork City Football Club since January 2023. The board would expect that any custodian of Cork City would be mindful of the history of the club and the considerations of its supporters. FORAS Board of Management. So that is the FORAS official response to Dermot Usher's plans to go into the Marina Market. Hey.
Wayne, any thoughts on that one? Fair play to them for getting back to us, by the way.
Yeah, I'm in shock that someone's got back to us, to be honest.
I think we told them we were recording at 7, and they left it till we were recording to just add a little bit of spice.
I know, fair play to them. And do you know what? They said it far more eloquently than I could have said it, but my thoughts exactly. Can't forget your past. And the movie, remember Hitch, the movie? Will Smith, remember it?
Haven't
A
seen
fabulous
it.
saying in it. You don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been.
Very
No.
true. Very true.
What a note to end the first half on, Toe Tapper. Come back to us in the second half. We'll be having a route around the mailbag.
Hey, Toe Tapper. As you know, everything is increasing in price. Extra small clothes, anger management classes, raw liver is the same price as gold. And kids' sweets used to have 20 per pack and now only have 5 in each one. And Jack Doherty is on course to score 100 goals. And he's going to bleed us dry. We need you to help the gang by joining our Patreon for exclusive pods, news and much more. For $5 a month, you can ensure that Wayne doesn't smash up his laptop, that Dan has really small clothes, Eileen is satisfied, and Declan gets lots and lots of jellies. Head to patreon.com/ToeTap to support the cause.
Welcome back to part 2, Toe Tapper. As mentioned previously, Longford, they could be daunted in this first division as they took two wins away from Galway last year, given 2 losses. Hi, Stephen Henderson is written here.
Yeah, because I know he listens, and he's the Longford manager. So, hi, Stephen. How are we?
Does he listen? Only for Longford games or just every week?
Those long trips to Longford, they have us on all the time. So, a big fan, I hear. So,
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Hi, Stephen.
Who are you starting this one, lads? Wayne, we'll stick with you here.
You got to go with the team against. I go with the team who play against Kerry. I'm not sure is Bolger ready yet. Maybe he is, but long trip to Longford, maybe not.
Oh, I wouldn't have said he was against UCD anyway, on the back of that.
So I'd start the same team, except I'd probably put, if Kieran's still out, I'd obviously play John Donovan. But I do worry about the right back situation, because Harry Nevin's he's a very good, I would call him Roberto Carlos-esque. The kind of very good going forward, but a bit hairy coming back, I would say. And we need to be more tuned in at the back, I think, against Longford. They've had 2 games postponed. They're chomping at the bit. So I would probably, who could you put there? I don't know. I don't know who'd put there, but that's one area. I'd tell him to hold back anyway. I wouldn't tell him to be doing his Dani Alves up the right wing. Like, I wouldn't be doing that. I'd be sticking inside a defensive fullback. I'd call a defensive wing back is what you'd call him, rather than an attacking wing back.
Decky, what would you do there?
Like I wouldn't go for the massive comparison that Scotty's got for tonight. No, we have Carlos Sullivan as the first £1 million transfer, I would think, and Harry Nevin is Roberto Carlos. Like, you know what I mean? It's Scotty's back with a bag. He's back with a bag. Do you know what I do? And I think I was thinking about this earlier on. I think there's merit to it, and we did it away at Finn Harps, and we won this league playing 3-5-2 the last time, and I think there's merit in looking at the 3-5-2 again long term, because it takes defensive responsibility away from Harry Nevin. It allows him to be high up the pitch and do the things that he is really, really good at in an attacking sense. You can play Doherty off Nathan Wood in a 2 there, you know, and Doherty can be in around that main striker and in areas of the pitch where he can hurt teams. Matt Kiernan or John O'Donovan or whoever you want to play on the left can function very well. Again, Kiernan is very attacking, as is John O'Donovan at times. So, and then it leaves you with 3 central midfielders of Sean Murray, Greg Bulger, and another, be it an Evan McLaughlin or even an Aaron Healy, whoever you want to play in there, a Barry Coffey.
Carlos Sullivan.
I think the more I look at our Colin Sullivan, yes, of course, my apologies, Colin, my apologies. So the more I look at our personnel and our setup, now the only problem is we only have 3 centre backs, you know, so I don't think it was ever our intention to play the 3-5-2, and I don't think Tim's intention long term is to play the 3-5-2. I'm just looking at the makeup of the squad and the bodies and saying that it's actually a very viable option, I think, going forward.
You could put John Donovan as a centre half, couldn't you? And you could stick Kieran on the left. Or
You could,
when Barbary
you
comes
can.
back, he
John,
could go there too.
Yeah.
Who's scoring the goals for us?
Jack Doherty, of course.
Jack Doherty.
And how much money's going to Marymount? Who is going to be our number 9 is probably what I should have said. Or a striker.
Has to be Wood.
Yeah, I think it has to be Wood as well. I don't think the experiment worked the other night, and I think Tim Clancy knows it didn't work. So I'm not sure. I think we will see it again at times, but I'm not sure. I don't think it'll be in Longford on Saturday night anyway.
Is he going to bring out Uma?
No, I don't think so. No. Like the thing is, like, the big fear is we're a Jack Doherty injury away.
Or a sending off.
Or a sending off is very true. From being toothless, or being pretty close to toothless. No, I understand we're only 3 games in and we talk about combinations and transitions and fluidity and all that stuff, but so far our offensive game hasn't been anywhere near where we need it to be. And I know we're talking about in a month's time it'll be much better, but there's signs there that maybe things won't work out offensively as well as we'd hoped. But there's also the signs, as I said already, you get away with murder in this division, and we will get away with it,
Wayne, do you think we need a striker as badly as people say we do?
We need 2. 2, I would say. 2 number 9s. Experienced. I would 100%, because Wood can play out wide. We won't have any number 1 striker. We have Keane Murphy and Uma. We need 2 players. The problem is, where do you get them? And it's probably too late now until the window.
Yeah.
So unless you got pluck someone from the Munster Senior League or something, but they're weeks away from being match sharp for the League of Ireland. So yeah, we got to. John said something very good on the WhatsApp during the week. He says we're about 6 games away from everything clicking. But on the flip side, I think we could be 2 or 3 games away from total disaster. Doherty gets injured, some get sent off, centre half is injured. We're in trouble then, That's the worry.
Yeah. We're fairly bare bones if that happens. Final predictions for the game. Decky, I'll go back to you here.
The thing is, Longford, as Scotty said already, have had 2 games postponed. Now, Scotty said they'll be chomping at the bit. I was actually thinking the opposite. I was thinking they'll be slow to start because they just don't have the minutes in their legs, and they will be 3 weeks without a game when the game kicks off on Saturday night. And I was thinking if we can get after them early and make a fast start and put them on the back foot, and hopefully be 2 up by half an hour gone. I think that's the way to go after them. It's hard to know because they've only played 1 game. We saw Chris Lyons score the 2 goals against Finn Harps, and then they collapsed on themselves. And it's very difficult to know. I think we win. Obviously, I think we can go up there, and as I said, go heavy metal from the start and see how they fancy it and see how quick they come out of the blocks. But look, I'm going to say 4-2 City.
Wayne.
I was going to say 3-2, which is kind of interesting. You said 4-2. I think they'll score, and I think we'll score more. That's as simple as that.
I'm going to say 2-1 to City. So all wins, all expectancy, invincible season continues.
If one of you had come on here and said a draw, I would have claimed that monitor and strangled you.
We'll have to try to ring a fan and find out what they're... We'll ask our special guest. We're going to go now to the section formerly known. Was that... Did Wayne just rip a fart? We're going now to the section formerly known as Jacking Off with Decky. Cove Ramblers, They had a game postponed against Wexford. It's going to be a big issue for teams in the first division this year, but especially Wexford. Jackie?
Yeah, like Wexford have had 2 games called off. Longford are very unlucky. They've had 2 games called off, but they were both away games, one in Bray and one in Wexford. So they're 2 games down through no fault of their own, but they're a part-time team with players who are working, and they're going to have to make up those games on a Tuesday night or a Monday night later in the season, and it's very unfair. Wexford have had 2 home games, both called off because of waterlogged pitch. All the other games last Friday night were called off because of snow, and somehow Wexford was called off for a waterlogged pitch. I don't know how or why that is, but it's not a great look for them now so far. So it's Harding Cove as well, another club part-time who are going to have to make that game up at some stage in the future, when they're going to have to go to Wexford on a Tuesday night or a Monday night with guys who have had to take time off work or, something like that. And it's just, look, it's not great, but look, it happens, I know. But yeah, I didn't think it's not a great look for Wexford when both their home games have been called off so far anyway, that's for sure.
Okay, get the button ready because we're going for a route around the mailbag.
Postman pattern in black and white cat.
Can't be
trace. Early in the morning.
LOI Designs says, new shop location, ? Look, Wayne, I think we've already covered it. Do you want to...
I just don't think it should be in town. No, because this is based on the one in town, I think. They're moving it from Douglas to town. I don't think it should be in town. I think it should be in Mahon Point. Because I was actually in town on Saturday morning. Merchant's Quay is derelict. There's nothing in there. Upstairs, you've got Boots and you've got a Ukrainian charity shop and you've got a nail bar, right? A luggage place and a cafe. Downstairs, you've got Deals. Supervisor's gone. Dunn's is only staying there because they have to stay there. Marks and Spencer's are leaving. Patrick Street, it's all phone shops. I don't see why we're going to Cork City. If that is a rumour, it's not a fact, I know. That's what we've been told. I think it's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Mahon Point first, Douglas second. I don't see why we're going to town. I don't know, I could be wrong.
We go to town on the club every week in this podcast. Ball Sean also follows it up with Marina Market, ? Dickie, have you had any time to ponder what we spoke about earlier?
No, look, I mean, as I said, my attitude hasn't changed in 30 minutes anyway, Dan, So, and look, FORAS have sent in their statement. We've read it out. It's quite clear in what they're saying, So, look, we'll see what transpires, but I would be fairly certain that the owner won't abandon his plan, and he will argue, why should he? And lots of people and lots of fans will agree with him. So it's, as Wayne said, it's not something to be getting upset about or getting worked up about, and I'm not in any way. It's just, it's... On that podcast in Cork City mentioned, our FORAS, I should say, used the word custodian, and Dermot did describe himself as a custodian of the club. So I would hope as a custodian he may take some...
There's always been a line that was said to us, do the right thing. It's always been the saying that stuck with me. And I think doing the right thing is not going to Marina Market.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Garrett the GIF Sniffer Barry says, why is Doherty mainly playing up top? Wouldn't it be better if Woods was playing top so any long balls could be played by Woods and bring Doherty into the game? There was plenty of long balls Friday night straight at Doherty and he was never going to win them. ? Wayne?
Yeah, we covered it. Yeah. Spot on.
Jack Keller, analysis from the 3 games and what positives and negatives to talk about, and what is the ideal lineup for his style of play. I guess he means Tim Clancy when he says his.
The positives are we would have lost him last year, lads.
Roy, I'll stay with you here, Wayne. Roy O'Sullivan says, what contract situation has Cahill O'Sullivan? How much is he worth?
2 million, 2 years worth $1 million. There we go. Plus add-ons.
Liam Roach says, why is the Shade currently ranked as the top childcare facility in the city of Cork? Decky, I mean, I had to come for you for this one.
Do ya? You have to come to me.
But Wayne got
know.
an ass like 5 in a row.
I haven't talked to the man who stands in the shed. I haven't been in the shed since the last night it stood. The old shed stood. I went to the Donny Ford while the thing was being built, and I never went back. So
it's sad that all the old
time.
songs have been lost. All the old songs we used to sing for the last 25 years, they're all lost and gone. And I blame COVID 100%. There's new people there now, and the old songs they're dead. That's a shame.
Will they ever come back? Or is there a way we can...
They're gone now. They're gone.
The Donny Ford Ultra Mega Sergeant Platoon. WTF is going on with the silly roulette wheel of motivational platitudes behind the lads at the press conferences. Dickie, I don't really get the joke here, but...
No, okay, so have you seen any of Tim Clancy's press conferences or any of the press conferences they're doing in Bishopstown now? Obviously, we have no media partner, so the whole, advertising board and whatever used to be behind the manager would have had, Red FM's logo on it when they were the media partner, and that's gone. So they're doing it now in front of this, what looks like a wheel, a motivational wheel. It's obviously used by the academy. And obviously, if you're 14 or 15 and people start talking about all these great little sayings and whatnot, they look fantastic and they probably stick to, you probably stick in your mind and things like that. But they are very, they are motivational little sayings, and they're broken into different categories about respect and, different areas. So, look, I think it's better than Tim or Barry Coffey or whoever happens to be doing the press conference sitting in front of a blank wall. But at the same time, surely we could get a board or something made that we can put behind the people doing the press conferences and, have it Cork City and, the club motto or, sponsored by Marina Market or whatever it might be that would be on the board. But, just change it up.
Dylan Hennebury says, Wayne, I'll come back to you here. Do the club, Usher mainly, in brackets, care about us? As if they weren't estranged by fans already with the podcast fiasco, the handling of the over 16s rule and more. Now they cozy up to Cork's elites. Tom Collin, disgraceful. Us commoners are probably too basic for him.
What's the question? I don't know what the question is.
Does the club hate us? Yeah. Does the club, mainly care about us?
The fans, my opinion is no. And if anyone can prove that prove me wrong, pod@totap.ie, please. I'll reply to them.
Decky?
I think we are seen as customers more so than fans, and customers come and go.
And do you get the sense customers, they don't particularly want, that we're not the rugby types that they might want?
Well, there was a very interesting, actually, I forgot to mention earlier on, but you just reminded me of it there. The last thing said to Dermot Usher when he was doing the podcast was, look, is there any message for the fans? And the words out of Dermot's mouth was, football matches are not about results. And I just kind of went, holy
Well,
of course they're about results. No, he went on to explain that he was talking about the event and, you go to meet your buddies and you go for a pint. You might take your father to the game and take him for a pint and all that kind of stuff. And I've written about that at the start of the year and we spoke about it here. And yes, it is true to a degree. But when you get into the ground, that's the match night event. When you get into the ground and for that 90 minutes, all that matters is the result. And it was funny because Tim Clancy spoke in his press conference on Friday night after the game, and he said results are the only thing that matter in football. So on the Thursday, you have the owner saying results or football matches are not about results. And 36 hours later, in the press conference on the Friday night, Tim Clancy is saying football matches are only about results and nothing else matters. And I think that shows and illustrates the thinking between football people and non-football people. And it's something that we have to bear in mind and try to understand where Dermot Usher is coming from. But it was another statement that's kind of scared me, because I said it's not a statement that would ever be made by and I don't mean this as an insult to Dermot in any way, way, shape or form. He's a supporter, he's a fan, but he's not a football person, if that makes sense. As I said, that's not meant in any way to be a derisory comment towards Dermot. But a football person would never say that the results of a football match doesn't matter. The result of a football match is the only thing that matters. It's the only thing that matters to football people. And I think that's the difference. And of course, there are people who go to events, and Dermot is trying to build events. And he's clearly said that. And it's the correct thing to do. Yes, of course. The whole events, match nights, the whole match night experience is an event. But the core to that event is the football match. And he said it himself. They came off, he admitted, the club came off social media last year because every time they posted on Twitter, the first responses they got were what he described smart-ass responses. But they're not smart-ass responses. They're fans asking about relegation and where the players are and etc. and everything that went on. And he just said, well, look, and if it happens again, we'll probably, walk away from it again. That kind of thing is what scares me. That's the kind of thing that makes me think this is not a business like other businesses. This is football. And I have a fear that Dermot has yet to grasp that basic understanding that football is not like other businesses. It's unique.
It's not even like other sports.
No, exactly. And you have to understand that. You have to understand that if you post something on Twitter 2 weeks after you get relegated, of course you're going to get all you're going to get is abuse. All you're going to get is smart comments. But the club's skin and people's skin personally have to be thick enough to deal with that and to overcome those. And eventually they go away because other football matches come along and another season comes along and we're winning. And now everything is going to be fine while we're winning, but it's going to change again. And as I said, I thought 85 to 95% of that podcast was brilliant news for Cork City fans, and 10% scared the living daylights out of me.
And you want to pick up on their win?
No, we never mentioned the pub situation. That now, if you want to drink in the get a table in
the corner flag.
You have to order it through the club, which I found quite strange. Because if it's 50 quid, the ticket's 20, right? Because you're not buying it before. Well, no, if say 15, 5 pints, which is about 6 quid a pint, say 6, 5, 30. So the club are making a £5 profit on that. There's no way I would say that the pub would have accepted that for a £5 a head, like extra. Do you know what I mean? Or I just find it strange that now the club have all their names. They can also use it as a hospitality suite, I suppose, in the bigger games. It'd be interesting to find out now if we have a big cup game, will it be sold out and what kind of clientele will be in there. But it just seems a lot of money to be spending on that. But look, again, it's not our club.
Is there going to be security in there? Is one of the rumours?
This is the thing. I asked the club
like for... It's part of the ground now?
Yeah, it says you got to... When you're buying a ticket, it says you have to abide by the terms and conditions, and it's match day rules. I asked the club for those terms and conditions because they're not on the website. So they're asking you to accept terms and conditions that you can't actually read.
I presume it says no drinking in those terms and conditions.
You know what I mean? This is the thing. But their terms and conditions aren't the match day rules. They're different. Like, is that area part of the ground now? So if someone hurts themselves or gets too drunk or falls over or something, is that the pub at fault or is it the football club? Is it the event organizer or the pub? This is the thing. So it asks you to accept terms and conditions that they don't supply those terms and conditions. And when I asked for them, I got no reply. So
it says you accept the stadium regulations, and you are governed by stadium regulations when you're in the viewing platform in the corner flag. So for all intents and purposes, the viewing platform in the corner flag is now part of the stadium. Okay.
So drinking within the ground is legal now, yeah?
Well, you're getting into all kinds of areas.
This is why I asked for these. This is why I'm trying to find out, like, because I'm not trying to be an arsehole, but it also could save the club if they're not, like, it's like a lot of terms and conditions in workplaces. Certain workplaces are written by HR rather than solicitors, and that causes issues. So I'm asking, these terms and conditions, are they written part of the stadium regulations, or is it written properly legally? Because if someone throws a glass in there and hits someone, who's at fault there? It's just little areas you got to fucking make sure we're because I don't want, someone could do something stupid in there. Who's at fault? Like, remember that issue with Bradley? The issue with Bradley. That was the pub's issue, not the club's issue. So now, if the same thing happened, is the club? No, they have their names, everyone's name. Naturally, I just want to know. I'd love to know what the terms and conditions are, and you can't get them.
Jackie, any final thoughts on that one?
I think it's inevitable, and this is purely my own thing. It's not inside information. Nobody saw me anything. The first thing I thought of when, like, it looks like the corner flag have now sublet that section to the club. I think it's only a matter of time before the club tries to buy the corner flag. It's the next thing that makes sense. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Which is good.
In terms of corporate hospitality. Yes, of course, absolutely. But as I said, and I want to be absolutely clear on this is me speculating based on absolutely nothing other than my own mind and how I think and how I see things. But I think the next move is the only one that makes sense to me, is that the club tries to buy the corner flag. It's the only thing that makes sense.
Because
that would be fantastic.
Yeah, we've no clubhouse, we've no proper place like they have in Cove, where fans can really go and drink with each other afterwards. That's owned by the football club and come together.
I'd rather spend money and give it to the club than give it to someone in town. So if there was an event on, I'd go boozing there. If the money was going into the club rather than the owner there, I'd prefer that 100%.
What if they brought out the mini golf?
Stop that.
Right, we'll end it. Sorry, go on.
Okay. I was just going to say, you're talking about, like Dermot said as well, he wants to leave a legacy, and his legacy is a home for Cork City in terms of training grounds and everything. And we haven't even got a chance to get into that. And look, all that was covered. It was definitely recorded maybe 3 weeks or so ago and only released last week, because you can tell by the timelines and what's been spoken about. He said that he wants to leave a legacy for Cork City, which is a training ground, a home for Cork City. That's brilliant, fantastic. The problem is, as I said last week, he was talking about drawing down to 2 million. And I was delighted when he started talking about this, because it showed that what we had talked about was correct. He was talking about drawing down to 2 million. And then, obviously, it was recorded before the FAI went into the PAC meeting, and they were talking about drawing down to 2 million. So this 2 million now is becoming an issue. No, maybe since there's been talks and everybody's just getting into one thing, but that's not really what Dermot was hinting at. He wasn't talking about going into UCC and going in with the FAI. He was talking about doing something for Cork City and leaving a legacy. I genuinely hope that happens. It would be fantastic. But what I was going to say was, you can put a club shop into the corner flag. You can do things like that. There's areas within the corner. So there are things that could be done. So that's why I'm thinking that's what makes most sense. Yes, offices, club shops. You can keep one section as a bar, but it doesn't. You can have your viewing platform. It just makes, to my mind, it makes perfect sense. It's always made perfect sense. We now have an owner who's maybe in a position to do it financially.
Yeah, and I'm speaking to the next City player. I won't name him, but he was saying how just the club have a clubhouse, so he doesn't get to maybe meet up with the boys as much as he used to and things like that. So that'd be a great opportunity.
You could put all the merchandise up there, the jerseys and stuff, and it'll be fantastic. So, yes, toe tap approve.
I was going to say we're ending it light anyway, but we'll go to a bit of Gakwain now. There's a bit of
we leave in a good note. We leave in a good note.
No.
Okay.
We're leaving a happy note, son. We're an hour and a half in.
Yeah.
Before we go, we have recorded an absolute cracking interview with Decky Coleman, the formerly of Cork City FC. So if you want to find out a lot of what happened in a relegation season, stay tuned for that one.
Au revoir.
We always say adios again.
Adios.
It's terrible.
Totap.ie